We are live, coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor. Tonight we are joined by Andy. Andy, how you doing tonight?
What up? What up?
And we're also joined by Rooster. Rooster, how you doing tonight?
Yo.
And we are here with the episode EP3 recap show. And to be honest, this was for my opinion, was very all over the place. It was kind of a wacky episode. I wasn't a huge fan of tonight's episode, especially the elimination, and we'll get into that. But it was, to me, I don't know. It was just all over the place. Andy, thoughts?
I mean, I think I really enjoyed the episode, but I would say it was really just all over the place. But I actually enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was very entertaining. Like, I thought the challenge, like the daily was a classic daily. The elimination, not so much, but I thought there was like a decent amount of drama. Probably it has to be the most politicking we've seen in an EP so far. Like, there were deals being cut left and right, people trying to make alliances, seeing a little love interests in Jordan and Tori, and don't sleep on Nelly and Olivia. But I thought it was a very entertaining episode. I really enjoyed it. It didn't really get my blood pumping too much, maybe at the end, but I liked it. I think the only thing is it was just kind of all over the place.
Alex, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Trev. This one was wacky. It was all over the place. This was one of those, to me, it was one of those, I can't tell if I liked or disliked the episodes. And there was stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like, which at the end of the day, I think is better than, we're expecting these days. So I guess I would give it like a good rating overall. There was, in some ways to me, it felt like in episode 9 or 10 where there was parts where it was just dragging on, and it's like, I get the point you're trying to make, I get the foreshadowing you're trying to do, let's speed it up. But then in other parts there was like a ton of rookies involved, so it still felt like an early episode. But I mean, overall it definitely kept my attention. There was always stuff going on, just all over the place. So I think overall I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just felt like, I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of tonight's episode. I see Mikey the Doctor in the chat, 7.3 for him. But I don't know. We'll debrief this episode a little, but I think we should just dive right in right now. So pre-challenge, we get Jordan, and we get right into it. We see Jordan coming in the house. I think all three of us can agree we're stoked to see him, excited. And then we get to see his partner, Anissa, and not so much. Obviously she was, from the rumors that we're hearing, was a COVID cast. It was supposed to be Jordan and Naya, which, I mean, that team right there, you can maybe book to the finals right now. Like that's a strong team. So not a fan of that. I love when they talked about the Jordan and Anissa relationship. I mean, they were some of these photos out of, I mean, where were they pulling these photos from? It was almost like having like kind of like a crazy exotic like girlfriend kind of like Photoshop you out of pictures or something. It was just kind of all over the place.
It was just like any season that Anissa and Jordan did together, even though they were never like in an alliance or working together, it's like, oh, we're on the season together. Let's show some videos, some pictures. There was some where, yeah, like you said, it almost looked like there was like a Dirty 30 one where they were standing together at some cast event, and it's almost like some fan just like took a picture and was like, oh, I'm with the cast of the challenge, and like tweeted it, and they found the hashtag, and we were like, oh, this explains why Jordan and Anissa are ride or dies. Let's use this picture.
But Alex, the best part about that photo was like they were at the end of the photo too. The photo wasn't like it was like the last 4 people.
It was like 12 people, and they were just
that's exactly what it was. Andy, anything?
Yeah, I think like not only are they not ride or dies, they probably don't really like each other. Like Jordan and Tori went through what seemed to be a pretty messy breakup, and they were literally engaged. And Anissa's best friends with Tori, and like whoever knows like how breakups go, like the best friend of the girl hates the guy, and like there's just no way, like they're more rivals than they are ride or dies.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if there's ever been a bigger downgrade in teammates going from Naya to Anissa.
Huge mishap. And, it's going to be interesting to see the whole Jordan and Tori. We kind of saw it towards the middle of the relationship, but kind of how their team is. I feel like, we can all say a lot of the Tories of the world are insane and crazy. So, I mean, we'll see. So, then let's dive right in. They come back. Surprise, surprise. And then probably the biggest heartbreak of tonight's episode, the streak already broken. Alex, can we talk about that? One episode and we're done? Who are we? Kentucky basketball, one and done?
It all happened so fast. They came right back into the house, and they really, I don't even think, it wasn't just that they didn't show Horatio and Olivia walking into the house first. They showed almost nobody walking into the house first. They just they played the music, and just all of a sudden we were inside the house, and we saw some stragglers coming in, but we don't know who was first. It certainly was not shown as Horatio and Olivia. So yeah, I think sadly the streak is broken. The only solace we can find in this, I guess, is that we're still so early. So I guess if we start it up again next week, we can, get another 16 episodes potentially. But yeah, it sucks to lose it this early.
Absolutely. So the streak broken, and maybe a foreshadowing of tonight's episode with even just us. The next segment we got into was pronunciations. And there's a lot of pronunciations going around, and we'll get into Horcrux at the end, where I can officially stamp it completely shut. I mean, we had that. We had correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Fessel? Is that how you pronounce it?
Fessel.
No.
Okay. But here at STP,
it's Fezzle.
God. Here at STP, we're keeping it Fezzy for the remainder of the season. We believe you got to earn your stripes, and we don't know if he's earned it yet. I think Andy sent a text message tonight in our group chat, I gurp at Fezzy, but Fezzle I kind of bulge at. I think that was the line. So we'll see. Time will tell for us, but as of tonight, we are keeping it Fezzy for sure. Any comments to that? We're all on the same page with that.
Yeah, and one thing just to, let the chat kind of get where my head's at. I was starting to come around to Fezzol, and then right after I said that, he just ripped off one of his douchiest lines, probably ever, definitely on this season. But he was like, yeah, Horcrux is just this little secondary guy that girls go to instead of me. And it's just he's still just such a piece of shit.
Yeah, my just general rule of thumb with this is whether you want to call him Fezzy or Fezzle, the more Z's, the better.
Sounds good. So we go to the challenge, and this challenge. What is our thoughts of this challenge? I didn't mind it. It was all right. Good old work with your teammate, bring some barrels to a kind of a checkpoint, hit the smoke on top, and then move on to the next checkpoint and bring those barrels. We like it, not like it. Thoughts?
I like this one. I don't think you can love a challenge like this, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it. It was very simple. It wasn't flashy. And just the thing I liked about it the most was that, we talk a lot about challenges and eliminations where it's kind of anybody can win because it's so fluky and they're things that you can't really practice for. And granted, you might not practice carrying a barrel next to somebody and climbing up the barrels when you stack them, but you practice endurance. You practice carrying things while you do it. And this was one of those you have 11, 12 teams do it. Almost pretty much every team can do this challenge. It's just a matter of who can do it the best, who has the best endurance, who can do it the quickest. And that's kind of what I like. This can't really be a fluky thing, which sometimes in the challenge, you need to have one of those every now and then to just show all right, who is the better team at this instead of just having it like a circus game.
Absolutely. Andy, anything?
Yeah, I would say I didn't necessarily love this challenge, but I did like it. And I think what it did that a lot of dailies don't do is, in my mind, this is a somewhat precursor to who could do a final well together. you're kind of going through hell for a while. There's a lot of running, there's carrying, like it's a physical toll, which as a result, like kind of gets your like just headspace all over the place. And like in a final, that's exactly what it is. Like you have to still be locked in. You have to rely on your partner. So I thought it was pretty good. I think a lot of the teams that did well here could be contestants or at least competitive in a final. And you really don't see that in a lot of dailies. So again, I like it, but I didn't necessarily love it.
So I think this was a perfect example to throw something else in the mix of this challenge. If it was adding mud or something, like them running through a mud pit to make it even harder, or them like swimming and have to hold like, something above their head or like, less weight or whatever. I think that's what they should have done with this challenge. Or hell, have TJ sit in like a tank and shoot dodgeballs at the kids or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I felt like there was a missed opportunity with something here to add to it. It was
like,
go ahead.
Or like if the first team that gets their barrel there gets to like send weight to another team that's going.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, something at least. It just
Some sort of
felt like,
yeah.
Like I understand, and we criticize it a lot of too much going on, but like that was, and I guess that's fine. Like if you want to keep it basic and it's run to point A, pick up something up, run to point B, you got to go back to point A, grab 2 more of that, and move on to point C. It is what it is. But I just felt like it was missing something. So heat number 1. We had Johnny and we had Fezzi and Mariah pick up the win in heat number 1, and then we had Johnny and Raven pick up the win in heat number 2. Johnny and Raven, they have surprised me. Like they look good. Like during these challenges, not eliminations, but they look good. Fezzi and Mariah, I was surprised. I mean, their heat was a little weaker, I would say. I think the second heat was definitely the better heat. But any thoughts of those 2 teams winning? Would you say those were the favorites going into it when you looked at the heats for about 4 seconds? Thoughts?
Don't know what the heats were by any means, but like in a contest or in a daily like this, like I always expect Bananas to win, especially with Nani. Like they're going to always be my favorite in anything. But I do think Fezzle and Johnny were probably the favorite. Like it makes sense that they won. But one thing that Fezzi did say that I was kind of impressed with was like when they were clear-cut winners, he was saying like, hey, we're going against the second heat too. Like he was very much like, look, even though we're going to win our heat, stay locked in because like it matters. So hats off to him on that. Again, he kind of proved that he's still the same old piece of shit as he's always been. But I enjoyed hearing that.
I don't know. I feel like, Andy, you're kind of slowly gravitating towards Fezzle. Just a little bit, right? That just you're doing you've done more compliments in the past 4 minutes to him than you've done in his entire challenge career.
Oh, yeah.
Which is wild. It's just, 2022, new year for Andy, I guess. I don't know. Alex, anything?
I was just going to say, I like the actual challenge, the barrels running back and forth. I do think they could have done it better in terms of the heats. Like, I feel like they could have, I feel like it was weird that they had one heat of like 6 or 7 teams and then another heat of 6 or 7 teams. What I would have rather have seen is have them all go at once, so it's truly a race. You can see everybody, and you kind of spend more time on each team. Or even do like smaller heats and make it like, let's say 3 different heats. You go quicker, and you take the winner of all 3 and have them do like a mini final type thing against each other. I think it was just weird how it was like Fezzi had the right idea. Like, let's keep going. We don't know what the second heat is going to be like, but I feel like usually you have like 3 or 4 people that are in contention. Whereas tonight you had the winner of the first heat, the winner of the second heat, and you knew that one of those teams was going to win. I think they could have formatted the structure of the challenge a little better.
Let me go this route with you. Do you think they should have just done everybody goes at once, top 3 teams advance to another round?
Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because then you could see everybody going
a second time.
you can do it. You can do eliminate, the farthest run or whatever stations instead of 3 or whatever. I would have been fine, but I don't know. We're not they've copied us enough. They don't need to hear more ideas from us for next season and stuff. So what was the song? Oh, Gives You Hell. They played Gives You Hell. It's not like we used that for an entire season.
I thought that was at the club.
On our
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. I just wanted to tie in them stealing our ideas and stuff. Another thing. So we get, like we said, first heat, second heat, we got our winners, Fezzi, Mariah, Johnny, and Raven, and it turns out Fezzi pulls out the win. Going back, real fast, how many more times, and we should have set stir the prop of this, how many more times are they going to bring up Nelly T and not winning a daily challenge? I mean, it's getting out of control now. Like we're at 3 episodes and they've hit the mark all 3 times. We get it. We understand.
Well,
I mean, we were
tonight's was almost like they were lazy with it because the first 2 episodes, production I think asked Nelly like to the camera, "Hey, are you gonna end your losing streak? How long is it?" But tonight, I think it was Nerys who said like, "Oh, we're finally gonna get him a win." So I think she was kind of standing there waiting for the cameraman to say something. She was like, "Oh no, let me remind you, idiots, that like Nelson hasn't won. I knew you wanted to ask him that."
Yeah.
One thing that I'm thinking about, and I'm just now thinking about this, but like knowing Nelly, I feel like he never wants to win.
Oh, come on.
Because like he can always have this, and it's like a smirky thing for Nelly T. And like I think he gets enjoyment out of like going into every challenge, being like, yeah, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it. But like it's almost like a dog chasing a car. Like if a dog gets to a car, it's gonna be like, wait, I don't know what to do. Like if Nelly wins one, like I think he's gonna be upset. He can't talk about this anymore. I will say oh my God, could you imagine if Nelly wins and they have to bring in 4 teams to interrogate? I mean, imagine being interrogated by Nelly T. Oh my God. I think I want to see that more than anything on this season.
If that happens, I think we would see a very similar scene to I think Alex's favorite person or Andy's, I forget. What was the most famous line Wes ever gave Leroy?
Oh, about the gun?
Yeah. I think that would be the similar situation. I know you two are big Wes fans and nobody else is really a big Wes guy here. But what was the line, Alex? I didn't load the gun, or I loaded the gun, something?
No, it was like I didn't load. Leroy pulled the trigger. I just showed Leroy how the gun works.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. I think it would be a very similar situation as that. I mean, whoever goes in there first, if it's like a Bananas or if it's like a big name player, they would just be kind of the puppet master. I think it would be very similar to Kellyanne's brother scene all over again. So pretty funny with that. So Fezzi, like we said, pulls out the dub, and then we go back to the house. Tommy, what is our opinion of Tommy? He's crying in the scene, talking to his partner. Bananas kind of smirking in the background, kind of, just tiptoeing, overhearing. Always a classic scene, I think, is when you get a vet, just, putting their ear up to the door and you see the facial reactions and stuff. But what is our opinion of Tommy?
He's a little guy.
God.
With a big head. I mean, he's probably like 5'5", but he kind of reminds me of like I would say like a magician's assistant. Like someone that can like be folded into a suitcase, like as part of a trick. Kind of like the smaller ethnic guy in the Ocean's movies.
The Grease guy? I was thinking the exact same.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think of when I think of Whittle Tommy. He got a lot of screen time today, which I was kind of excited about because like he's just a smirky kind of like little gnome. So I was all for it.
A gnome? Oh my god. Alex,
Yeah.
anything?
So one of my favorite things from tonight's episode was about Tommy, but more about Bananas. And I think it was kind of like a very subtle veteran move that I'm starting to pick up on. Is basically we saw the scene that you're talking about where Tommy's kind of crying and Bananas is like there and actually like being nice to him, which is rare from Johnny. And then I think even in the elimination, Bananas was like talking to Tommy, and I feel like in Bananas' mind, what he's doing, being friends with this guy, is kind of like if by some chance Tommy wins a challenge, since he's safe through this episode, some chance he wins in a trivia challenge, or it's like you sneak through the smallest door and Tommy wins. Like Tommy's not going to be going for Bananas because Bananas is like the one guy in the house being nice to him. But if Bananas ever has to like screw this guy over and throw him into elimination, he knows he's gone. So like he's kind of doing the smart thing where it's like there's really no risk, but there is a small reward in kind of just like being the one veteran in the house who will actually like look at this guy and be nice to him, which I think we've seen Bananas do in the past, like some of those rookies who everybody just agrees is not a threat at all. And so that was kind of one of my like smirky, underrated things of the night where it's like Bananas kind of knows what he's doing, where he can like extend an olive branch to this guy, knowing that it probably won't need to be used, but can be in case of an emergency.
So just kind of going forward a little bit, I noticed that Alex at the end during the elimination, and I don't know if you noticed that too, with Horacio and Olivia, who was the first person to congratulate him up when they walked back up? Bananas.
There you go.
He hugged Olivia or gave her like a high five and stuff like that. So, I think that's just a vet move. Like, I mean, that shows, and like Alex talked about, will it go anywhere? Will Bananas ever have these people's backs? Absolutely not. Like, it's just a big brain move of planting a seed, and just doing something as little as that can go a long way. It's a big brain move, honestly. So Fezzi and Mariah go into voting, and they basically pick the 4 rookie teams. They pick Johnny and Raven, Horacio or Horcrux and Olivia, Tommy and Analysis, and Kim and Colleen. What was our thoughts of those 4? Were we surprised? I guess I was a little surprised that they didn't throw in at least one vet team. Just like I'm trying to think, like a Laurel, I guess, because who does Laurel really have ties with? I guess Fezzi now, laying in bed.
But even like a Jay, even though he's still a rookie, but like I think like Fezzi made it very clear that they wanted to just attract essentially no attention, and like even before the daily, there were like talks of him just saying like, "Hey, I just want to like fly under the radar right now," and I think this selection encompasses that. It's not shaking any trees. It's not ruffling any feathers. It's just like, let's throw 4 rookie teams in. No one's going to get pissed off. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he really just went all in on the rookies, all 8 of them. What I wish they would have shown, or what I wish he would have done, maybe he did this and they just didn't show it, is like he almost should have had like a conversation with maybe like a Devin and Tori, or maybe even a Bananas and Nani, and just said like, hey, like I'm not going for you guys at all. Like, just want to let you know, because they kind of alluded to it early on where Bananas was like, we have the vets over here, the rookies over here, Fezzi and Nelson are kind of in the middle. And what Fezzi obviously showed tonight was that he's not going for any of the vets. He's going for all rookies. So maybe they show like one little scene where it's like him, Bananas, and Devin, and he's like, hey, like, you don't have to be my number one. I don't have to be your number one, but like, just know that like I'm riding with the vets. I'm not riding with the rookies. I'm showing that to you guys right now. I'm voting 4 teams of them in, like, just to let you know. So I feel like that was something, maybe he did it and we just didn't see it, but I think that could have added to kind of like emphasize the point he was trying to make with the teams.
Well, when do you think? Sorry, Andy. When do you think it's the move, like in this game, where Fezzi's like, let me throw in Banana? It's tough for him. I think is if he wins later in the game, who's he going to throw in? I feel like he's got so many ties to certain people, and he's going to get kind of fucked because he throws in Bananas and Nani. He's going to hear from Casey. Fair.
Yeah.
So, yes, like, are you really going to stir the pot and throw in Tori and Devin? You would throw in. You would throw in Jordan and Anissa, Laurel, and one other person.
That's yeah. I mean,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I wasn't necessarily going to answer your question. I was going to kind of just add some more color to it, a la color commentary.
But I'm colorblind, so I don't know.
Like I think the big miss that kind of bridges what both of you are saying, like if Fezzi would have gone to Bananas and Nani and said like, hey, I just want to let you know you guys are safe, but I also want to like strengthen this relationship. Like in my mind, the clearest and strongest alliance in this house would be Bananas and Nani, Casey and Fake Kenny, and Fezzi and Mariah. Because there are so many personal relationships intertwined between that trio that like they should just all come together and say, hey, let's make this the trio that goes to the finale. And I think all of those teams would be 100% on board because like Bananas does have some other ties, but like it's nothing too crazy. And they talked about at the beginning of the episode that Fezzi has some sort of ties with Nelly T, but like, I mean, come on, he would give that up in a heartbeat. Yeah. So like, I think this would have been the opportunity for them to come together and say, hey, let's do the damn thing. And I think on a personal level, everyone would be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Alex, anything else to add to that or all good? No?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought I lost audio from you for a sec.
I'm back.
All right. So then we go to the club, which SCP prop, how many times? What was the over-under? 13 and a half?
I think so.
13 and a half.
Are we at 3?
We're at 3. We're 3 for 3 right now. Feeling good. Feeling great. So this is where we get to see our first politicking. Yeah, I was reading the little thing. I thought I read something else down there. And Tommy is making the double deals. What is our thoughts on that? I think Andy brought this up last episode. Was like, this is what he should do.
I brought it up.
So Andy, you're the one who brought it up last episode. What you're happy with this then, right?
Well, so here's the thing, because I did bring it up last episode, but his problem is he did it before the draw. Like the problem is if you make 2 promises beforehand, you're going to screw yourself over. But as long as someone else draws first, so there's a 67% chance that happens. Once that person draws, then you go to the other person on the spot and say, hey, regardless of what happens these next 2 draws, we're saving each other. Deal? That's what like I thought in my mind when I concocted this idea last week. So like that's how I think it would have been perfectly executed. This was obviously a flop, and I think Tommy and Analysis are going to be feeling the pain for the next, I would say, couple episodes, but probably just 1 episode, and then bye-bye.
Alex, anything?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you guys like over under 1.5 more episodes for this team, Tommy and Annalise. Like, I think they obviously like showed their cards tonight, but I feel like they're honestly so bad and so bottom of the totem pole that like in their eyes it's just like, let's stay for as long as we can. And who cares if people know that we're liars and going against our word? Like, had they not done anything, like had they not approached Kim and Colleen, approached Horatio and Olivia, I feel like both of those teams would have turned against them.
Mm-hmm.
And, if they had done nothing and they pulled the same thing anyway, but I just feel like they were, I think I can't remember which challenger said it, but like they were doing it out of fear. because they knew that they were that bad and they would lose any elimination. And so I think they're going home next episode lucky to make it to 2 weeks.
Could not agree more.
Well, and here's the thing. They're both 5'4" and combined weigh about 100 pounds. So, like, I think on paper, and if you were to rewind, probably 10 seasons from now, I feel like it's almost an afterthought these days of, hey, this team sucks. Let's bring them around as long as we can. Like, I personally feel like that's kind of an afterthought. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. But, like, in my mind, they're getting voted in if they don't win the daily. Like, not only in the 4, but, like, as the one team to go in. But I think the idea of bringing them along makes the most sense.
So if you win next episode, do you just tell the house when you're in deliberation, do you just tell the other 3 teams, I'm throwing these guys in. I'm going to let you guys battle it out. I think all three of you can beat this team. So I'm giving you the chance. I'm just letting you guys know how you would play it. Okay.
I think so.
I feel like that's a smart way. I mean, it's the best way to throw 4 people in. At the end of the day, if you're burning bridges or whatever, you're burning 8 total people, 4 teams. So it's just like, you might as well be up front as these clowns in, and you guys whoever gets lucky gets lucky.
Do you think there could be a scenario, and I'm just brainstorming here, but like you have to vote 4 teams in. Do you think there's a scenario where, as like the quote unquote power couple, before you do that, you get like 2 teams together and you say, look, by default, like I'm having to throw you guys in, but I'm only going to do it if you both keep each other safe. Like if you as the power team initiate that, like I feel like that's a way where you could literally determine which 2 teams go into the elimination.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong with my Kelly School of Business math. That's a 67% chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just say like, hey, look, I want to throw you, like bring in the 2 teams together and say like, look, these are the 4 teams we have to throw in right now, but I can only vote 1 team in. It's going to be this team. But in order for all this to work, you 2 need to keep each other safe. Otherwise, I'm going to throw someone else in and this plan is off the table. Like, I think that could be like a way for the power team to determine the exact outcome.
I like that idea.
I like it. You're still leaving
a 33% chance.
A 33% chance of it blowing up in your face. And also, probably more important, is I think 96% of these clowns can't think that far ahead. I mean, we've literally seen people on the show not know what 9 times 3 is. And so for them to like compute statistics, even if it's like 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, what does that percentage equal? I don't think they could do it. And so I think, you can have like tonight, like Fezzi, like he was literally like, saying like, oh, what's her name? Colleen, like, will you still come in my bed? And she was like, he was like, does that make you feel a little bit better? And she did the little like, a little bit. And then he's like, I mean, these people are all just like morons. You can't reason with morons.
But that's what I think. It's kind of like if you bring that to them and make it like so simple, like a toddler could understand, then I think they would like understand it. And then you also become the quote unquote genius. It's like when you solve the one puzzle and you're now the puzzle master. If you concoct this plan, then it's like, oh my God, they're so smart. And it's like, well.
It kind of reminds me again of Leroy and Wes at the table when Leroy is just getting twisted, even though he's in the power position and he just has no idea what's going on.
Leroy literally said, why do I feel like you guys are the power couple?
That is one of the most outrageous things ever said on this show, I think. Not to mention who came in the next episode and just shook everything up. I forget. Who was it?
Banani.
The exact same. God. So where were we? Back to the club. politicking. Johnny and Raven have a little fight. Nothing too crazy there. You can definitely see Raven Simone still has some feelings for Johnny. And yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, that's so Raven. Like that's just such classic her move.
But Corey's not in the house. God. So, like I said, you have a little fight there, and then we get to see the drama between Tori and Jordan. And Tori and Jordan, it just seems like they just broke up and literally didn't speak to each other for a year and a half, which is kind of insane because they were fucking engaged. So I don't know. To me, it's a slippery slope with those two. Hopefully they get it get together again, but we'll see. Any thoughts on Jordan and Tori?
Yeah, I would say hats off, cowboy hats off to the producers on this one for making it seem like this is actually going to be a blow up, because I think we saw this in the trailer, in the sneak previews of, Tori and Jordan at the club, because it did start with like Tori tonight, like her yelling at him, kind of crying, emotional. And you could see from the trailer that it was tonight's episode. Jordan had the cowboy hat on and everything, but it ended up being very amicable. Like they ended up hugging, saying like, I really want the best for you, blah, blah, blah. Whereas in the trailers, it was like these two were just engaged and now they're on the same season together and they hate each other, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, obviously I'm hoping for that still to come. I wish these two clowns go at it again, but in a more aggressive way. But we didn't get that tonight, sadly. So I'm hoping we get that again at some point in the season.
Mikey the Doctor brings up. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let me ask you this: would you rather see Jordan and Tori kind of rekindle the flame this season, or shit to hit the fan?
I would.
Those are your only two
rather
options.
see
not like the classic, not like what we got tonight, where it was like love and support and all that. Like if you had to pick, they're starting to get back into it, or all hell's breaking loose. Which one are you going with?
I'm going with, I think I would rather see those two come back together.
Ooh.
I think what makes better television and stuff like that would be the clashing for sure. Absolutely. But I kind of like both. I like both of them. I like Jordan a lot, and Tori she's solid. I mean, she's all right. Sometimes I felt like she was overrated at times. But I don't mind those two together at all. And I like Jordan. I like his cowboy hat.
So here's my answer. You said, what were the two options? They get back together or they completely go at each other's throats, right?
Yes.
I think I would pick they go at it and they hate each other. They're screaming. And the reason why is because I do like both of them. I like seeing them on TV. I also liked when they were together and they were a thing. But I wouldn't prefer them kind of rekindling that flame, because I would just know that it wouldn't last, because it already hasn't lasted. It's already burnt out before. And so we know it wouldn't last, and so it would just be for nothing. So it's like, if they're on the season, might as well get some entertainment out of it and see them just like hate each other.
Yeah,
see
but I feel like
hooking up with whoever and Tori gets mad.
I just think it makes them stronger, though. At this point, they've rekindled their fire. It's not like Jordan was like a complete asshole, like dumping her at like a sandwich shop or anything crazy or anything like that. So I don't know. Like I said, for the sakeness of my heart, I would like to see them come back together.
So here's the thing. Trev, you're kind of on one end of the spectrum. Alex is on the other. What I would like to see, strictly for entertainment purposes, would be it starts to go down to get back together and then crashes down towards the other. Like they start getting closer together, talking a lot, and then like someone just like hooks up with someone else, and then
Well-
it's just all hell breaking loose.
Well, if you're rooting for chaos, I think we can all agree the biggest chaos thing that would happen would be the start of that, Jordan and Tori coming back together, the build up, 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 and then Jordan gets with Anissa. Would never happen. I'm just saying. Jordan and Anissa, could you imagine that?
He would have to get tested for weeks.
I mean, that build up, and then if
Be like Norbit.
that, so come on. So yeah, I just think that would be the ultimate peak apex mountain of their relationship.
I don't think that relationship's making it up a mountain.
God, Kenny might
All right,
carry it.
elimination time.
Yes, elimination time. So Fezzi selects Johnny and Raven. Not really surprising. And then this is where it starts to become a little dicey. Tommy pulls the safe card, sword, whatever. And he basically, like we talked about, made 2 double deals already. So he's kind of caught in the middle. And he basically saves Kim and Colleen, which sends in Horacio and Olivia. And they are going up against Johnny and Raven. That's so. So, what is our thoughts of this elimination on paper before we actually talk about the elimination? Do we like this matchup? I like both of these teams. Like as a competitor, they're really good. I think both teams are good rookie teams. They're no cakewalks, which I like. So I'm fine with it. Thoughts of those two teams going against each other?
Yeah, definitely. Of the 4 that were in consideration to go home, we got, in my opinion, the 2 that I wanted to see stay the most go against each other. Like I could have done without Tommy and Annalise. I could have done without Kim and Colleen. Like these 2 that went against each other were definitely like I wanted to see both of them stay. So it was sad that it kind of played out that way because, like you said, Trev, they were just like not just compared to the 4 teams in elimination, but really like every team in the house. Like they've performed. Like they've done really well. Horatio and Olivia won last week. Johnny and Raven won the challenge week 1. Like they've not done as poorly as you would expect most rookie teams to do. They've done very well. And so the fact that we had to lose one of them was kind of a shame this early.
Yeah, could not agree more. So let's go right into the elimination. Elimination is kind of a weird, safer version of Hall Brawl. Thoughts, opinions of it. I can go first if you want, or if you guys are ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So my thing is this. 1, why not just do Hall Brawl? 2, all that mattered who was on top that mattered. The bottom part of the thing did not make any sense. They claimed there was a 1 second head start. You rewatch the tape, there was not a 1 second head start. Those doors opened at the exact same time.
0.01.
So that's what I'm saying. So like the bottom doesn't matter. So like if I'm the guy, I'm saving energy or whatever, and I'm just kind of just chilling. Like if I lose in the beginning. And that's my biggest turnoff of it. Like at least if you're doing that, then make it bigger where there's like a difference or whatever. Or have the first people go in a Hall Brawl. If Horacio loses, then start Olivia further back, like reset it or whatever, and have that person start further back and then go. And then whoever's the first one to finish wins. To me, the doors opening or whatever, they were all running out at the same time. So like it just mattered whoever was on top. And I don't know how Olivia's group basically was the one that went twice on top. And that was the reason why they won. So thoughts for you guys?
I think you're right. The one thing that made me mad about the bottom level was it seemed so slippery. Like just watching them, it was like no one could get their footing. And that's just too much uncertainty for a challenge like this. Like if it's in the sand or something, like because obviously we've seen physical challenges in the sand, that's fine. But this like looked borderline like ice, and I don't know how you can like say that that's an accurate judgment on who could do this. But I think their heads were in the right place of taking a classic in Hall Brawl, making it 2-person, but like the way it was set up and also the fact that it was far less physical than real Hall Brawl, I think they missed the mark. I like the idea, the execution, and like how they put it together. In my mind, was very poor.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah. Well, do you guys remember how they did it on X's 2 Hall Brawl? Because this is what came to my mind right away. Because obviously, what like you said, Andy, their whole point of this was kind of to make it a 2-person Hall Brawl with a guy and a girl. If you guys remember, what they did on X's 2 was they did a guy and a girl, but it was basically so this. We'll just walk through it. It was Wes and Teresa against Leroy and Naya, but they started with like Wes and Leroy against each other in the hallway. But behind Wes was the other girl, so Naya. Behind Leroy was the other girl, so Teresa. And it was like you go against each other. Whoever gets to the bell first is going to tap their partner, who then is going to run against the other girl coming the other way.
Yeah.
I really like that format. I mean, I still like the one-on-one the best. That's the clearest way to do it. But if you do have a guy and a girl on the same team, I thought X's 2 did a really smart, simple way of pulling it off, where it's just like a relay race and everybody's going to have to bang heads at some point. Where, tonight you got like you said, the 1 second delay, which really wasn't a delay at all. Really, just they I think missed the boat with it, and not to mention the whole aspect of pushing the bar instead of just going body to body. That was clearly like a concerted effort to, I guess, make it safer in some way. But it's like if you're gonna do Hall Brawl, do Hall Brawl. It's just a classic example of the challenge having something that works that's not broke and trying to fix it. Like they made a problem out of nothing.
You know what Hall Brawl I really enjoy, and I don't know if it's even considered Hall Brawl, is the circle one. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that one. That one's awesome.
It is.
I also like the 2-man one. I think it was Rivals 2, where it was like, you have like an offense, defense, and like the other person has to get across. I like that one too.
You know what other elimination? I don't know why they don't do this season. Is the one where they're on a platform or something, and it's like the football drill where it's like you and your partner are tied together and it's like basically tug of war against the other 2 teams. I love that one. Why are they not doing that either? But I don't know. It's almost like we should be writing the show ourselves, but it is what it is. So elimination.
We pretty much wrote all 3 parts of the documentary.
It's not like we've done that already, right? So, like we said, elimination happens. Horacio and Olivia pin Johnny and Riley, Johnny and Raven. I was a little surprised by the outcome. I'm not going to lie. But kind of what we talked about, all that mattered was kind of who was on top. And, I think Olivia over Raven all day long was the biggest difference maker. So episode kind of ends there. We kind of get a tease of the new team coming in. I think we can all agree. I think this is Darrell coming in now. And hopefully this is the end of teams coming in, mercenaries coming in, because are they just going to get think about this. They're coming in episode 4, EP 4. I mean, that's a good 25% of the season.
Well, let me ask you both this, because we talked about this last week too. The fact that they're bringing in all these new teams means that the season's going to go very long, obviously. But would you rather, let's just say it's Darrell and Veronica, because it was a guy that was built like Darrell and a girl that was built like Veronica. So would you prefer this be the last team they brought on, or they bring on another team that we don't know about? Because we talked about that in the last EP of it'd be nice if we got a surprise, but you also like kind of need to know the cast beforehand. this could be a way that they do both, where they tell us one cast list, even though it's a couple people short, so we still are interested, but it would also elongate the show.
I think if you're doing that, the only two scenarios you could bring out are Bananas and CT. One of those two people. And obviously, Bananas is already on this season. You'd have to bring CT. If you're bringing someone on this late, it needs to be a heavy hitter like that. I don't think anybody else moves the needle unless it's like, I guess the only other person that kind of could move the needle for me, I guess, would be, and I know she's been shitty, but like, God, would be like Kara, somebody who we think is like blacklisted. And could you imagine if they dropped
Cara and Paulie?
Yeah, or something like that. Like that'd be bonkers. Like if they brought them on together. Would never happen.
CT and Big CT, aka Big CT.
CT and Kara.
I also feel like we are due, maybe within the next 3 episodes, for a purge or a double elimination. I feel like this kind of early before the halfway point is when they do that, and they do like just like the producers are like, even to TJ, they're like, come on, we got to get this thing going, and they'll do like, you know, you have to send in 5 teams to the fucking thing, and you send 2 down. Like, I think that's gonna happen at some point.
I was wrong. Let me go back for a second. I said like Kara would be a huge ad. CT. There's one other person I think that could elevate this to the next level. And at the end of the day, I've been asking for this person to come back to the challenge for so long. You know, he's arguably the best eater in challenge history. But in all seriousness, can we get Tony Raines back on the challenge? I mean, if he did that, oh, chef's kiss. I would love to see Tony Raines back. Sorry, had to add that in one last time.
God,
Andy, say something?
That would be awesome. But I mean, I think it's interesting. It's something to think about at least, because we don't know. So I'd be curious to see what ends up shaking out with all this.
Yeah.
Trev, before we get to the segments, maybe last thing, do you have an official statement on Horatio?
Yeah. Is it Horatio or Horacio?
I think it's Horacio. I think you're right.
Okay. I think Horacio earned his stripes tonight. I'll say it. He earned his stripes. You know, I know it's all fun and games. We made fun of his name, Horcrux and stuff like that. But I'm a man of my word, and moving forward, call me Harry Potter. I'm defeating these Horcruxes, and they're GGs. So yeah, Horacio it is for the rest of the year.
There we go. 2-0.
2-0.
Well deserved.
So that was tonight's episode. Let's get into some segments. What segments we got tonight, Alex? I think we got one of the fan favorites, This Day in Challenge History, starting it out with, which, I mean, we've been on the duel too, so maybe we're still on that. And I'm hoping it might be an episode title name again or stuff like that, because that's always a smirk.
Yeah, well, it's the Duel 1. It's Duel 1.
Classic mix-up, sorry.
But yeah, 16 years ago, episode 4, quick segment tonight, This Day in Challenge History. Episode title was Paula versus Anissa.
No, it was not.
So if there's ever any wondering about who went into elimination that episode, we all know. Can you imagine just like tuning into that episode? Maybe you had a long day at work. You're just excited for like another challenge episode. You want to see what happens, who goes home, and you pull up your guide or your TiVo at the time, and it just says, you know, you're 5 minutes deep, and it says like the challenge duel, Paula versus Anissa. You're just like, what the fuck is the next half hour of my life for?
My question is, like, I'm just picturing us. Let's say we're the writers or whatever, and we are just all sitting around our table, and we're just like, how can we get creative with a title episode? You know, not like Revenge of the Sith or like, you know, like a weird name or something outgoing. Let's just name it, you know, Paula versus Anissa. Like, Who thinks that's a good idea? I would love to meet that intern who was
Well,
like,
maybe they're kind of going. If you put yourself in the writers' room back then, maybe they are kind of going back and forth because last week's it was called like "Adios Tyler" or something, like "Bye Bye Tyler," and maybe they said like, "All right, we made that the episode title last week. We got to add some more suspense to it. We can't say, goodbye Paula. We just have to. We got to take that part out of it. Let's just tell them who's in the elimination, but we're not going to say who's going home." And then the other guy's like, "Yes, you're right. You're right, Tom. Let's name it Paula versus Anissa." And he's like,
how,
"Thanks, man. Let's go."
how smirk would it be if it was like they just name it like Paula versus Anissa or whatever it was, and they don't even go into an elimination versus each other? They're just like, let's fuck around with these kids this week or something. It's just like a fight. It's like Pastagate or something like that. That'd be unbelievable. God, was that it for this day in challenge history? Just
that's all we got tonight.
Just the classic name title. What are some of the best name episode titles? West Side Story.
West Side Story.
Come on. Wasn't there one like Get Off the Rock?
Yeah, I think that was a good one. Nice to meet you. It wasn't like all the fresh meat ones. They had like meat in the title, like nice to meet you.
Yeah. So classic. I just don't get it with what the writers were thinking back then. It is kind of just full smirk. Good for them. Good for them. So moving on after this day in challenge history, we got another great segment, Radar Watch. Alex, you want to explain Radar Watch to our new listeners?
Yeah, who's flying under the radar? We have 30-ish people still left, so whoever's not doing anything bad, not doing anything good, just not getting any airtime.
Yeah. So I'll kick it off to Andy first, if he wants to go first on Radar Watch. Who you got, Andy? We'll go Andy, Alex, Trev. Is that fine with everyone?
Sure. So I've got a couple in mind, and we talked about this early on that like for all the Radar Watches based on this cast, on any given week, we're going to have a lot to choose from. And that's how I feel right now. But mine is someone who actually did get a little bit of camera time tonight, but it is going to be Amber B's partner, Chauncey
Phillips.
There was one single screen, unless I missed something tonight. There was one small little cutaway to him in a confessional, and all he was doing was laughing. And when I say this was the shortest and quickest confessional I've ever seen, I mean it, because it was like half a second. It was literally just like, let's cut to Chauncey. He's like, right back to whatever was going on. It was mind-boggling. But I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this guy. So he's my Radar Watch.
Great pick, Alex.
That's a good pick. I'm gonna do his partner. I'm going Amber.
Come on.
I think I did her last week too. I mean, I wish I did her, but I think I voted her last week. But I mean, she's just like, I feel like the whole house has kind of forgot about this team, because I feel like a week ago I would thought they kind of forgot about like Fezzi and Nellie's team, but like nobody has mentioned Amber and Chauncey like at all. And so I think Amber, I don't think had any confessionals tonight. The only shot we got of her was her like dancing at the club, so good for her. But I'm just going Radar Watch Amber because she was just completely under the radar.
Just to clarify, we're doing it. This is like Radar Watch per episode, correct? So it's not for the entire season.
Yeah.
So my Radar Watch tonight would be Nani.
Ooh, that's a good
Nani
pick.
was not in this episode at all. I think she was only in the background. I don't think there was a confessional that she had tonight. I almost expected she would have the classic, but that was Fezzi's honor tonight. But yeah, where was Nani as a staple of the show? She wasn't on it. So that is my Radar Watch. So
good
moving
pick.
on to our last segment of the night, we got the crowd favorite, MVP, LVP. Chat, you guys know what's up. First response, we'll do first response of the order. We will do MVP, LVP for. So before we get into that with the actual segment, I like to just. This doesn't really need to be a segment, but some of you AWLs out there remember Pluto playback, and I just threw on Pluto to see what's going on. And believe it or not, I feel like we've expanded the horizon a little bit, Alex and Andy. We are on the Gauntlet 3 on Pluto playback. Like I'm looking at it right now. It doesn't even fill up my entire television. It's like a little box like that big. So it's just kind of smirk to see that. So it looks like it's a beginning episode. Looks like there's a lot of people left. So
we'll start doing that as a segment pretty soon.
Sounds like we're going to be doing it pretty soon.
So we'll get that back in the rotation.
All righty. Looks like it's might be in AAA still and working its way up to the MLB. So looks like Jesse Adams was our first response. We got Andy, Alex, Trevor for that order. So MVP, kick us off, Andy. MVP tonight.
I'm very glad I'm going first here because I have really just one answer. And I'm going to go with Horacio and Olivia because they both won like they did well. This was not an easy elimination for them. Horcrux is dead. Horacio is born. And Olivia had just yet again another good showing in a form of outfits during confessionals and the club. So they both won individually and both won as a team tonight.
So your pick is both of them?
Yeah, the team of Horacio and Olivia.
All good. Alex, who you got? MVP tonight.
Yeah, I was going to go that way. So I guess I'll go my MVP for production. And more specifically, the soundtrack, but I'm gonna just keep it as production. I think the soundtrack, the music, producers, whatever you want to call them, did a really good job tonight. We had Gives You Hell. We had what's it called? Let Her Go when Jordan and Tori were getting all sad. They had a couple other good songs like during the challenge that
Iran, such a class.
Yeah. So Far Away. They had like just good songs throughout the episode. They've been kind of doing it for the past really few seasons. I feel like they've stepped up their game, and I'll just kind of take the whole umbrella of production because I think that was a big piece of it. And overall, I feel like the episodes have been solid so far. So I'll just give my MVP to production.
Yeah, God, that was a good pick. My MVP tonight is going to be. God, I honestly don't know. I'm looking at this cast list right now. I'm not a fan of any other MVP picks out there. But my MVP tonight's going to be the Vets. And the reason I'm choosing the Vets is they are showing that they're running this game. And after one EP, after the rookies celebrated like they won the NBA Finals, that they're finally being put in place by these vets. And I loved seeing that. I love seeing four rookies go against each other. I love seeing the vets dominating this game. And I can't wait to see those vets actually go against each other. So if it's politicking, if it's whatever, they doing, and that's why the vets are my LVP tonight. I mean, I could go a lot of different directions with this, but I think there was one thing that was just out of control tonight, and I don't know if anybody else felt this. Jesse Adams, that is a very honorable mention, LVP. But LVP for me tonight, which was just so excessive, so annoying, maybe a total of 45 minutes, was commercials. Tonight was one of the longest episodes of just commercials. We've talked about it numerous and numerous times. If you can't fill the 90 minutes, just move it to 60 minutes. It's not like you have that many scheduling problems going on. I mean, you have something that's ridiculous on every freaking 30 minutes. So you can do, if it's an hour 15, hour 10, do that. I know you have the power to do it, but when we're sitting there watching 30 minutes of commercials, like I don't want that. Like I like full episodes. It's almost like I would rather watch it on Pluto or whatever, where there's less commercials. It's insane now. So yeah, my LVP tonight is commercials.
Great pick.
That's a really good pick.
Thank you.
My LVP, I'll save my runner up. But the reason I'm going for this guy instead is I'm going. My LVP is Johnny, and the reason why, just the fucking loser Johnny that we had tonight, bananas. And I gave him an MVP episode 1 because in my mind he deserved it. He won the challenge, and he deserves the LVP tonight because he lost the elimination and he kind of, he talked a big game episode 1. And at the time he kind of could have, but we all knew at the time it was a bad move. We knew the vets were going to come for him at some point, and it came back to bite him in the ass tonight. Like, I think he was one of the 4 teams voted last week, and he was able to kind of squeak his way out of there. But to go from like episode 1, the team that won out of all 14 teams, to 2 episodes later, you're going home. And he kind of talked his way into that. So I'm just going LVP Johnny.
Great pick. Hey, Andy?
So my LVP pick for tonight is going to be Fezzy. Because Fezzy is dead. Fezzle is here. And something tells me my LVP picks for Fezzy might be few and far between, but my LVP picks for Fezzle could be very high still. So I'm giving my LVP to Fezzy because, I mean, he's just doing way too much with all of this. And he's also still a piece of shit. Showed that tonight.
Question, Andy. Is it possible in a future episode for you to give Fezzle an MVP and Fezzy an LVP? Is that possible?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I wouldn't say it's impossible.
All right. So that was our MVP, LVP tonight.
Wait, Trev, I do have one honorable mention.
Okay.
One honorable mention for MVP is the STP Bet of the Night. Cash it. It is booked again. I think it's 2-0 as official bets. There was one loss, but that was more of a like, oh, we forgot to put one out. Let's just throw something out there. So 2-1 technically, 2-0 on real Bet of the Nights. So again, if you were a $1 million bettor, you'd be up $2 million. So $2 million or $60 a month to get a phone call from Derek.
I mean, $60 for a fucking phone call? I mean, that's just insane. It's almost like, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but they were like pushing that book too tonight, the challenge book. A book for like $75, a phone call for Derek for $60. I think the question we got to be asking ourselves at the end of the day is who's paying for this shit? Like, seriously, like, this is just out of control. So, I don't know. What do I know? Anything else, Alex? Any honorable mentions?
Honorable mention for LVP Tammy, whatever his name is, the little guy. I mean, that he's as good as gone. We'll see you next week, but that was just an honorable mention for LVP.
Yeah, good honorable mention. Shout out to the chat tonight. Jesse Adams, Mikey the Doctor, the real OGs. Love by you. I think we have a new person as well. Who was it? Sex Finds XYZ. Love to have you in the chat as well. Anything else?
Happy Halloween to all the AWLs
out there. I think Alex is going for Easter going for Halloween as the Easter bunny that Derek put on his t-shirt. Oh, I mean, what was his name? Scott, piece of shit. What's his name? Scott Yeager. So, I believe you bought that costume, right? I think it was only like $1,400 on their website.
Yeah, I got the early Patreon deal, so I get 10% off. So it's $1,500 a month.
Yeah. Didn't you also spend $50 to talk to like MTV Alton or something for a little bit?
All right, we got to cut that.
So, with that being said, thank you guys for listening to a brand new show. I've been your host, Trevor. You can follow us on Twitter at StirThePod. You can follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys. Love you guys.